Welcome to the show, everybody. This is your boy Lo Jackson coming to you live. This is the Only You podcast where we do book reviews and we try to read books that are self-help, encouraging, and that might teach us ways to become better human beings. Every day is a learning lesson in life, and I try to learn something new every day so I don't get stagnant. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going over a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's on Audible for $24.95, Kindle for $2.99. You can pick it up at Barnes & Noble for $2.99, or you can get it in a paperback from Thrifty Books at $3.99. In reality, it's cheapest at Google Play right now for 99 cents. I would rush out and buy it. It is one of the best reads that you're ever going to read in life, and it will definitely help you. This book was written in 1937. It was promoted as a personal development and self-help book. Napoleon Hill claimed to be inspired by Andrew Carnegie when he was writing this book. The book is only 238 pages long. Oliver Napoleon Hill was born October 26, 1883, in Pound, Virginia. This is his most notorious book. He was considered an author, journalist, salesman, and lecturer. He passed away, unfortunately, in Greenville, South Carolina. Some who knew the true story of this gentleman know he is considered one of the founding fathers of the self-help movement, but he was also known as a con man in his time. He had held fraudulent business practices, tawdry sex life. He had a tawdry sex life. Tawdry is kind of an interesting word. Tawdry, and a membership into a New York cult. That makes this guy pretty fascinating. Writes Matt Novak. If you want to check out Matt, he wrote all the negative things about Napoleon Hill in a blog that I read online. It was really interesting. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Think and Grow Rich, and this is Chapter 1, which is the introduction. The Man Who Thought His Way into Business with Thomas A. Edison. Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that. Then, when mixed with indefinite purpose and persistence, burning desire, turn from rags to riches. Their ideas and everything else lead to riches. He talks about Edward Barnes and how he thought and became rich by being persistent, being indefinite in his purpose, and he had the burning desire to be Thomas Edison's partner. And he put all these things into practice without even knowing that he did. By using known principles, Barnes thought his way into this partnership. The next title in this chapter is 3 Feet from Gold. The most common habit of failure is the habit of quitting. When one is overtaken by defeat, Napoleon Hill speaks of an uncle of R.U. Darby. He was caught by the gold fever during the gold rush, 1849, 1848. Many famous people have told interviewers that they wouldn't have what they have had they not read this book. Damon John, he turned $40 into $6 billion, and he states that this book led him into his financial gain. The next title is A 50-Cent Lesson in Persistence. Shortly after Mr. Darby received his degree at Hard Knocks, he realized that no doesn't always have to mean no. Napoleon Hill tells of Darby's uncle who had a fierce temper and a little girl who insisted he give her, Mammy, 50 cents. The uncle threatened he would switch the little girl if she continued with the 50-cent talk. When the uncle stepped toward the child stepped to the uncle, looked up at him, and screamed, My mammy says She's got to have her 50 cents. The uncle stopped, put the switch away, took out a $50 from his pocket, and handed it to the little girl. The little girl then backed away toward the door, never losing eye contact with R.U. Darby's uncle. The uncle sat down, looking out the window, pondering the whipping he had just taken by a 6-year-old girl who had the most fierce persistence. Darby tried digging for gold with his uncle, to no avail. In which this isn't in this book. I only included it because I want you guys to understand the storyline and who R.U. Darby was. So, the uncle and, Darby tried digging for gold with his uncle to no avail. They moved from Maryland to Colorado, hit it big, went back to Maryland and tried to gain capital for their gold digging venture, and they did, because they actually had struck it rich in Colorado and found the vein. But once they returned, after getting all the investors, they could not find another vein to get more gold. So they sat there with all the investors' money, and literally it dried up over time, and they wound up selling all their equipment for $100 so they could make it back to Maryland. And the guy they sold their equipment to was considered a junk man, and he bought it for $100. And he got to thinking, after looking at the equipment for a few months, I wonder if there's somebody I could call that they may have an idea where this gold could be. And sure enough, he hired a gentleman to come out, a surveyor, and he struck it rich and became pretty much a gazillionaire overnight with R.U. Darby's equipment and his uncle's equipment. The next title in the book, Think and Grow Rich, you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because we have the power to control our own minds, thoughts. He should have told us the little ether by which this world floats. Ether is a form of energy moving at a high rate of vibration, and that the ether is filled with some kind of universal power which adapts itself to the nature we hold inside our minds and influences us in a natural way to transmute our thoughts into their physical equivalent, which is money or riches. Our brains become magnetized by the thoughts we hold in our minds. Chapter 2 is called Desire. This book has a lot to do with desire, you guys. The first 5 chapters is all about desire. It's wild. The starting point of all achievements. The first step towards riches. In this chapter, Napoleon Hill talks about Barnes, the guy that was trying to be a partner with Thomas A. Edison, and his burning desire to become Thomas's partner or associate. The definition of desire: a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. And I think everyone out there understands that the more you wish and desire for something, the frequencies and vibrations change around you. And if you believe in those things with faith, persistence, desire, and it's truly about believing to me. Because I used to always tell my kids, believing is seeing. Because if you can't believe, and that's what it is. That's why it's so hard for people to believe in a God, too, these days, because they can't see it. They can't see him or her. Anyways, going on to the next title in this book, Desire Outwits Mother Nature. This chapter and the last 3 are about desire. So desire makes up an important part in our life if we are to think and grow rich. And chapter 3 is faith. Visualization of the belief and attainment of desire, the second step towards riches. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmutes it into infinite intelligence. And that's a very important part, because he talks a lot about an infinite intelligence in this book. And he talks a lot about, transmuting different situations, like this part is spiritual equivalent, and transmuting it into infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. You guys, think about that. Here, I want to reread that to you because that's an important part. So, the second step towards riches, when faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibrations, translates it into spiritual equivalent, and transmutes that into infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of the positive emotions. When the three are blended, they have the power of coloring the vibration in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind, and you can't block it out, you can't stop it. It's instantly going to your subconscious mind, where it is changed into its spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from infinite intelligence. And I would say amen to that. And amen is actually comes from the Greek word. It means so be it. And the next title in Think and Grow Rich, faith is a state of mind. Then the self-conscious formula. Chapter 4, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind, the third step towards riches. And I don't know if everybody knows what medium is, but medium could be dirt that you grow a plant in. Medium could be whatever substance that you're submerging whatever into, pretty much. Autosuggestion is a term, all suggestions, self-administered stimuli, which reaches one's mind through the five senses. Stated in another way, autosuggestion is self-suggestion. Through the dominating thoughts in one's conscious mind, whether these thoughts be negative or positive, is immaterial to the principle of autosuggestion. Autosuggestion voluntarily reaches the subconscious mind and influences it with these thoughts. No thought, negative or positive, can enter the subconscious mind without autosuggestion, with exception to thoughts picked up from the ether. And remember that part, you guys. Ether is very important. I had never really understood ether until I read this book, and he really explains it well in here. And as for old as this book is, it's definitely relevant to this day. Not all men know how to harness this energy. Most do not, and that's why they go through life in poverty. On to the next chapter, Think and Grow Rich. This is the Only You podcast, and thank you everyone for listening and following me, and thank you for sharing me. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm going on to chapter 5, which is Specialized Knowledge, Summary of Instructions. If you are only a student, in which we are all students, even Elon Musk, there is a chance you might learn so much that you did not know, but you will learn only by assuming an attitude of humility. Let me read that again. If you are only a student, there is a chance you might learn much that you did not know, but you will learn only by assuming an attitude of humility. If you choose to follow some of the instructions or neglect to follow others, you will fail. To get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in a spirit of faith. And he's talking about the instructions he gives you in this book to get you to the point that, like Damon John says he got to after he read this book. And that's what level I'm trying to get on. And hopefully you guys are too, because even if you don't get on that level, I think by every book you read, you learn something. And reading is one of the most important things out there. That's how we get intelligent. That's how we don't let history repeat itself. That's how we grow. That's how we just, so many things in our life are detrimental to us reading. First, go into, this is where he's talking about the instruction. He says, first, go into a safe spot. No outward interferences. Say aloud the amount of money you intend to accumulate, the time limit you will obtain said goal amount of money, and the ways you intend on making the money. As you do this, see yourself already in possession of the money. By the first day of May 2023, I'll have X amount of dollars. By providing a service, I have this money in my hands. It is awaiting transfer into my account. Remember, no one in this life is going to believe you more than you are going to believe yourself. So what you say comes out of your mouth, goes directly back into your ears, and you are the most influential person when you speak out loud. And that's why I kind of do these podcasts too after I read a book, because I then really absorb the information, because I write it out, I think it out, I include other things along with this book. And now I'm going on to the second instruction is repeat this morning, noon, and night until you can see the money you intended to accumulate as though it's for real. You have to believe in it. Third, post a written copy of your statement so you can see it night and morning. Read it just before retiring and just before rising. Remember, as you're doing this, you're applying auto-suggestion. Your mind will not apply these things unless there is emotion involved, and you really truly believe in it, I think. As you listen to yourself say out loud, daily fuel the words and let them become a reality. Fourth step to knowledge. One is general knowledge. Another one is specialized knowledge. A general knowledge, general knowledge has no effect on money, which general knowledge is knowledge that everybody holds and possesses in the world. You can get online, you can Google it. Now, specialized knowledge is things that Elon Musk knows. That's specialized knowledge. Or like, say you have a specialized trade, or you're on a maintenance team and you do electrical and mechanical. That's specialized knowledge in those areas. Excuse me. So it says specialized knowledge will not bring money unless it is organized, then directed to a definite end. This missing link in education is we are not taught how to organize information in school. Once it is given to us, and it is not taught how to harness this information to propel us into thinking and growing rich. We have to learn how to do these things on our own, which in turn, I believe people stay in poverty because it's too hard to have to come up with organization when you've been so disorganized your whole life, and now all of a sudden you read a book and you're supposed to get organized. Well, these things come with time. These things come by choice. I used to get upset at my kids when they wouldn't clean up and think, these guys never clean up after themselves. And then I realized, well, I'm the one that wants to live a clean life, not my kids. So I stopped asking my kids to clean up, and I just started cleaning up because I was the one that wanted to clean. Sometimes it just takes a moment to step back and reflect and see what's going on around us to be able to think and hopefully someday grow rich. Chapter 6 in this book is imagination. The imagination is the workshop of all men, where all creations come from. Man has harnessed more from his imagination than he has in 50 years today than the entire human race has at this point. Two forms of imagination. One is known as synthetic imagination, the other creative imagination. Synthetic imagination, through this faculty, one may arrange old concepts and ideas into plans or into a new combination. This faculty creates nothing. It merely works with material experience, observation, and education, in which it is fed and used mostly by the inventor, unless his mind must call upon the creative imagination. After his synthetic imagination cannot figure something out, creative imagination kicks in through the faculty of creative imagination. The finite mind of man has direct communication with infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence. It is the faculty in which inspiration is received. Thought vibrations from other human beings are on this level as well. One creative mind can tune into another individual's subconscious mind. Creative imagination work automatically. This part of the mind only works when the conscious mind is firing at a rapid rate, like when the creative mind is stimulated by a strong desire. The creative faculty becomes more alert and more receptive by vibrations already spoke about, that you already know about, but they just become more than what they were because now you have that burning desire and your imagination is very powerful. And we all know that. There's things in the world that wouldn't be here. And we all have learned about Nikola Tesla and how wonderful he was. Or look at Leonardo da Vinci, with the 1500s and everything. He already drew out the helicopter at that time. Come on. Chapter 7, Organized Planning. The crystallization of plan into action. The sixth step towards riches. Chapter 8 is Decision. The mastery of procrastination. Seventh step towards riches. Chapter 9 is Persistence. The eighth step to riches. Persistence. The sustained effort necessary to induce faith. It is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is the power of will. Willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. Men who acquire great fortunes are considered to be cold-blooded, sometimes ruthless, oftentimes very misunderstood. What they have is willpower, persistence, placed in back of their desires to ensure their attainment of objectives. In Chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich, Power of the Master Mind. Ninth step into riches. Power may be defined as organized Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power here means organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute a desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of two or more people who work towards a definite end in a spirit of harmony. If power is organized knowledge, let us examine the sources of knowledge. A. Infinite intelligence. B. Accumulated experience, like schools, college, your knowledge through reading books. C. Experiment and research. And those three are very important in this book, and I would remember those two. And if you get a chance, go out and pick this book up. It's one of the best reads I've ever read. I've read it several times. Chapter 11, The Master of Sex Transmutation. The 10th step towards riches. The switching of the mind's thoughts to physical expression to thoughts from some nature. Sex desire is the most powerful of all desires. When driven by the desire, men form a keen sense of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and a creative ability unknown to them at any other time. When harnessed and redirected, this energy maintains all of its attributes of the imagination. Chapter 12 of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And this is the Only You podcast coming to you live. This is your boy Lo Jackson. I hope you're enjoying my review right now. We're on to Chapter 12, The Subconscious Mind. And this is the last chapter of this book. The Connecting Link. The subconscious mind works day and night through a method unknown to man. The subconscious mind draws upon the infinite intelligence for the power with which it voluntarily transmutes one's desires into their physical equivalent. Make use allows of the most practical media by which this end may be accomplished. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it a plan or desire or a purpose you wish to be transformed into concrete form. And thank you everyone for listening to this. I hope you go out and check this book out. Like I said, Napoleon Hill was an interesting dude. He belonged to a cult. And in reality, at one point during that cult, the cult started to really use Think and Grow Rich as pretty much like their Bible I was reading, and it was really creepy, honestly. And this guy was considered a con man, but in respect to this gentleman too, this is considered one of the number one self-help books in the whole world. Again, this is your boy Lo Jackson. You guys, please follow me. I know I'm not that interesting, but if you keep listening, please follow me and share me, and let me know how I'm doing. I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate the feedback that I have gotten. I am reaching people in all kinds of different countries and all over the world. So, and people are reaching out to me, and I am grateful for that. So, feel free to reach out, and I hope you enjoyed this Think and Grow Rich. It's a great read, and I hope that I'm encouraging you guys to go out and, if you're not going to read, at least listen to the book. It's packed with so much information, and I have left out pretty much the whole book. I mean, I gave you all the gist of the chapters right here, but there is so much more to this book. Believe me, once you see the book, you're going to be like, that's a huge book. Well, it is, and it was just too much to incorporate. But thank you again for listening. I appreciate you. Until next time.